Buffalo, New York. Skyway and the Father Baker Bridge are closed. Roads are reported closed. And to talk with official connections with that big old stage.
How's it going there? Mr. Dave Swift.
Happy to be here, Joey. Happy to be here.
Okay, Dave has shot a lot of your favorite skateboard photos, but you actually probably don't even know it. And he honestly doesn't care if you know it. If you go to his website, daveswiftphotography.com, in the bio link, it reads, you ready for this? This is too much. Dave, it's never enough, you know what I mean? It's never enough.
Never stop. Never enough. Keep going. Put it down. I don't know.
Okay, these first questions are so easy to answer. We're going to dive right into it. First of all, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Small drive to get up here. Is that a secret? Secret location? No. But 20 minutes, and I was here. Sun's out. Ready to do whatever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, let's just get right into it. How did you get into skateboarding?
I got into skateboarding, so everybody was doing it. 77, it was a big thing, and I would just see people skating and kind of was like, yeah, I want to do that, but I didn't have a skateboard, and I tried to get one, and my parents were like, no, we're not going to let you ride a skateboard. That's dangerous. And when I heard no, that meant yes. So I saved my paper route money, bought a skateboard, and hid it in the closet, and didn't tell them I had a skateboard. They found out I had a skateboard when I came home with a concussion and wondered where I got this concussion. And I said, well, I was riding a skateboard. Whose skateboard? My skateboard. And I never stopped from there on.
Wow, that's great. What was your first trick?
It just depends on what you consider tricks. Everything was a trick back then. Doing a kick turn, hitting tile, shit grinding, all that stuff was tricks. But in my head, the very first trick that I actually did where I was like, wow, that's a skateboard trick, was the rock walk, which is a weird slide thing. Yeah, where you kind of come up forward, go backwards, and kind of alley-oop a little bit, and then come in forward again. So it's also called the cess slide. Just depends on where you're from. So the rock walk or the cess slide. That was 1978.
That's so cool. Did you ever feel like maybe you were going to become a pro skater?
Funny you ask. I didn't think about it when I was, in the early 80s and stuff. I did later think about it when I was sponsored and other people that I was friends with were turning pro or getting those opportunities, and I would think I was at least as good as, if not better than those guys. But I didn't play the game correctly, maybe.
Well, that makes you a real skater in my book.
Yeah. They just had, whoever they are, whatever it is, it's just, you can see some people had better opportunities or they knew the right people that got them to the right place. I didn't really know those right people. But that being said, I did skateboard in 2 pro contests in 1989 as just kind of like a goodbye to skateboarding and contests.
Yes, sir.
Because I was already working at Transworld by this time.
Very cool.
It was just to let it go. I did it. I beat a few people.
You still got the trophies?
There was no trophy for those.
Oh, man.
They were big contests. It was 50 people in the contest, and I might have got 32nd.
Oh, okay.
But it was fun.
When did you realize I'm a photographer or filmer, or I just belong behind the lens?
When did I realize that?
Yeah.
It took a couple more years, because I still just wanted to skate, and photography was just a way to get out of the office and skate. So I wasn't really taking it that serious at that, up until 91 or 92 when the friends that I skated with all the time kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And skateboarding went more street.
Right.
That was when I really kind of dove into photography and the whole magazine stuff.
Man, that's cool. And that you did, because you documented basically, I would say, a large percentage of the golden era of skateboarding, and I love it. And
Thank you.
I used to hang up your photos on the walls, not only in my room, but in my folder. And at school, I let the teachers look at them, put them right up there on the wall.
Impressive.
Yeah, so you got to admit, skateboarding was really doing something special right around that time, and it was just going like into a realm that we never thought it would go into, and you nailed it. You were just there. I love all your photos, so we're gonna dive into that.
Well, let me cut in real quick.
Sure.
Skateboarding's had. I think every era of skateboarding has had its own specialness. You know, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, whatever you like, whatever you kind of grew into.
Yes, sir.
I think, or whatever your actual scene was when you really got into skateboarding. I think that's always going to be your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough to be part of, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and I like them all pretty equally.
Right. I see what
the
you're
80s
saying.
as a skater, the 90s as a photographer, and just kind of seeing how people were making something out of nothing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a handrail, what do I do on it, to what we have in all the videos.
Wow, so you go way back.
It was great to see all that.
You saw the gold in every era, basically, is what you're telling me.
Well, not the 70s.
Not the 70s.
I saw some good stuff in the 70s, but I think it would be like, in the late 70s, 78, 79, it was like it was in, say, 99 and 99 and 2000, when it was just so big. And I don't know if you remember the Transworld video that had the circuit tour in Europe.
Yeah,
and if you look at that year, or those couple of years,
okay.
to me, everything looked kind of goofy.
Yeah.
The skating was sick, but it was like everybody was playing this fucking... They just didn't look like skateboarders anymore. It was just like this weird time. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good.
I see.
But the fans were fucking rabid. That's kind of like the way the late 70s was. These skateboard parks that were just filled with skateboarders everywhere. Like, wow, get out of my way. I just want to ride.
Oh, my God.
And I'm sure that's the way those guys felt. Like, oh, fans, get out of my way. I don't want to be on a signing for 3 hours,
Oh, my gosh, that's hilarious.
But that's what it was,
Right now, we're going to cut to a soundbite.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story. And it's a story behind a fantastic photo of HK, shot by Dave Swift.
He was giving it his all every single time. And him trying wouldn't be 2 or 3 tries. It would be either he makes the trick or he just fucking kills himself. He had this idea to go buy this huge American flag and use it as a backdrop for a photo. The idea was just to get only the flag and the spot in the photo. Meet him across the street from Oceanside High at midnight. He says, "Okay, I gotta go open the gate." So we're waiting across the street in the parking lot, and it's pretty quiet in Oceanside. And he's over there with his Sawzall trying to cut this like thick, metal lock, and all we could hear was like, and in Oceanside that time of night, it's pretty quiet, but there's usually a lot of cops just driving by because we're pretty close to the cop station. Like 10 minutes later, he comes back over and he's like, "Dude, I can't do it. It's not working. It's not cutting. But don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." He had a cop car with one of those metal front end bumper thing, pretty heavy duty. And he just rammed through the gate, so it just wow, opened up super wide, and we were like, "Oh my God!" All right, I guess we're going in.
Yes, sir. That's the way he did it.
That was some fine guitar work on that.
Was that you?
No.
It might have been.
I can't play guitar.
Are you being bashful? Was that you, Dave?
No.
Okay, moving on. All right. Okay, what are we doing here? You know, a photo I really like, Dave, is the Jeff Rawley 360 flip at Oceanside. What was the story behind that one?
Well, I was good friends with one of the guys that flipped, Ian Deacon, from the 80s. Like, when those guys came out, they stayed at Del Mar, and like we hung out a lot, so we became good friends. So when the whole flip thing went down and they were moving to California to, you know, take over or whatever they wanted to do, right. Jeff was the first one to arrive with them, and Ian was like, hey, Jeff wants to go to one of the spots, you know. And it was actually, he wanted to shoot an ad for, I want to say that was a clothing company, Street Rod. Because if you look, I mean, there's a Pop Shove It photo where he has a big Street Rod photo or sticker on his board, which is like, thinking about it now, it's like really odd. But where can we go? And I was just like, oh, maybe Oceanside High, because people were skating there a lot then, and nothing was really done down the stairs that big, you know. Maybe, yeah, it was before Tom, and yeah, okay. So Jeff goes straight to like, I'm gonna pop shove it, you know, and he just does that with a couple tries. And there was like a few other pro skaters there, Danny Mayer, maybe somebody else, I can't remember.
No, there was something interesting I heard about Jeff Rawley when he moved here. He was watching videos of like Markovich and stuff, and he was thinking like, whoa, like, wow, you gotta really land your tricks. You gotta land them. So when he moved here, he didn't realize it, but he kind of put himself ahead of the curve in a sense, because he was like, oh, I have to land this fast. Did he like land some of those tricks pretty fast?
Yeah, the Pop Shove was like a couple tries, and I think he did 2 360 flips. One where he rolls away and says dodgy.
Oh my gosh, he says the coolest things.
And then the next one he just made pretty much bolts. But yeah, it was just take him somewhere. He wants to 360 flip something big. Okay, Oceanside High, and because it was right up the street from Transworld, you know, it was less, 2 miles away.
Let's stay on Oceanside High for a second. Let's talk about that Tom Penny line.
Film that. I was not the photographer on that. That was Grant Britton shot the, I think it was Etney's ad or whatever. I was the filmer, which is strange because I didn't really film that much line stuff, but Soul Tech, Don Brown, wanted me, or somehow got me, because I had a camera.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'll pay you $500 if you can film Tom for this high five thing.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't know it was called high five, but see what you can do. Because, I mean, I had a relationship with Tom as far as, like, he would go out and shoot photos with me at that time, and not really a lot of other people. Kosick, maybe, was the other one. And so we all went to Oceanside High, middle of the day, probably school vacation, or it could have been summer. I have no idea anymore. And he wanted to do this line, but there was, with Tom, there wasn't a lot of communication. It wasn't like, I'm going to do this. It wasn't like that. He was just like, I'm going to do something off these stairs.
I got to film with him a little. I kind of know what you're talking about.
And then the rest is just going to happen.
To an extent. But, yeah, dude, he's kind of poetry in motion. You know what I mean? Like, dude, running down those steps, was that scary? After the switch outside?
I was a lot younger, so I wasn't that scared. But it was sketchy.
As far as, like,
I'm going to fuck it up, fall over, and he's just going to ride off, and I'm going to miss the whole thing because there's nobody else filming. That was what I was scared of. Like,
no pressure.
I'm a skateboarder. I'm not really worried about getting hurt. You know?
Oh, my gosh.
Especially then. These days, I'm a little more worried about getting hurt.
Okay, how many tries did it take him to do that kickflip off the hip afterwards?
Oh, I think he just made it. I think it was more. It was a couple tries, like we're on the switchboard slide.
Yeah.
Then I think maybe the third try on the switchboard slide, but the kickflip was right away. He just did it. Like, because once he got that far, I don't think he was gonna not make it. And it was a kickflip for him.
Yeah.
I really think at that time a kickflip was super fucking easy for Tom Penny.
Right.
And that leads me to, there was another story around the same time. I think filming this for the same video. We were at City College in San Diego.
Yeah.
Where there's like these little rails out in front, like a 5-stair rail. But we just went inside the campus to like see if there's anything else in there. And he's skating off, and I'm trying to follow him, just not film, but like just to keep up with him. And he comes to a set of stairs. It was probably 8 to 10 stairs, and he just, instead of just awing off it, and he hadn't ever seen it before, he just kickflipped it.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, there's stairs, and he was probably 15 feet away, and then just.
What was it like building rapport with Tim? Because he was really on fire at the time. Was he like? He was always really a humble guy, huh? Like.
He was just really quiet and didn't really say much. He didn't. Honestly, don't think he talked.
Wow.
Much at all. You know, it was me. It was him in my car.
Wow.
Maybe like I remember. I think the City College thing was it was me, him, and Jordan Richter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in my head. That's who I remember being there too. So Jordan talks. I've known Jordan since he was like 11.
Yeah.
And I think Tom just sat in the back and just kind of, yeah. You know?
Incredible. Okay, we're going to go ahead and tap into my brother here via satellite. Let me just radio him in real quick. Where are you, Billy? Yo, Billy. Billy, are you there? Billy? Oh, man, I guess we don't have him. That's weird. Gosh, we don't have Billy. Okay, sorry.
Satellite's down?
Yeah. Dave, could you try to do anything to maybe make the satellite work?
I don't know. Maybe I could adjust my back a little. No, I have no idea what we're talking about here.
Oh.
Satellites, they're up there. And we need to find you, Billy.
Okay, I think we got him. Billy, are you there? Billy? Yo, Billy. Billy? Oh, here he is.
What's your favorite word?
My favorite word might be dinner. No, yeah, sure, dinner. I like that word.
What's your least favorite word?
Don't.
What turns you on?
When it's time to skate.
What turns you off?
People that just aren't nice.
What sound or noise do you love?
A cat purring.
What sound or noise do you hate?
The sound of a Prius.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck. Too easy.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Possibly a framer. Like a framer for like houses.
Billy, don't get ahead of yourself.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you want to hear God say at the pearly gates?
Dave Swift, come on down.
Oh, just one more thing. What's your favorite candy bar?
I know you want me to say Heath bar, but that's not the one. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And that's not even in a bar.
Yeah, right? Maybe Nutrageous? Mm-hmm. The Nutrageous? Fast break?
Also, it has to be a bar. Can't be
I
a
think
cup.
so, maybe.
Ah, shit.
I lost
Snickers bar.
Snickers bar. Cold? Or just room temp?
I'll take it cold, but not melted and gross, but...
Oh my gosh. Did I ask you what your
whatever's nougaty.
What's up with the Markovich Carlsbad gap story?
For him, it was spontaneous, for sure. I mean, I don't know if he had been thinking about it before, because he lived really close to it, and he'd skated Carlsbad Gap. I think he was kind of the original person that skated Carlsbad Gap.
Yeah.
But I went there specifically with Rob Deerdeck to shoot, and I think he wanted to switch ollie it. There was a bunch of fucking people there. All skating, and so I was just shooting like whatever was fucking flying by my head.
Right. Stressful.
So I have photos of Mansouri, I have photos of Jamie Thomas. I think Jamie Thomas did like a I was gonna say Benihana, but I don't think it was Benihana. I wish it was. Markovich, Deerdeck, they were dicing it out and just, playfully. And I think Chris was really. I think at this point Rob had given up. He was done.
Right.
He wasn't going to slam anymore. I think I put in a roll of black and white in my camera and shot a sequence.
Yeah.
But I don't have that roll of film anymore. I don't have the negative. All I have is the original print. That one print. It's an 8x10 that he colored, hand colored. That's the only thing I have. So it got lost somewhere at Transworld as far as, you know, where the negative went, which I think the art director lost it, but we won't say your name, Ted. But, you know, it was also filmed my camera. I think I just handed it to somebody that was right there, right next to me.
Yeah.
Just be right here on me and just film him. So I have that original footage as well.
Have you ever had a moment, we don't have to name drop who it is, we don't want to cause any division, but have you ever had just a moment where you're with a photographer or a filmer and you're trying to do one or the other and it's just not working out too well?
What do you mean by that?
Or it's just like, hey dude, I'm having a hard time getting the shot and you're in my shot.
I mean, in my head maybe, but I think it's actually more these days than it was back in the day, because most of the filmers would just respect everything. Like, it would just be like, you're here, or we're just tucked up next to each other, or, you know, with one filmer that's probably in quite a few of my shots at different, I don't know, I can't pinpoint which ones, but I do remember I would purposely put him in the shot.
Right.
You know, he was part of it. He was like, okay, if I compose him right here on this edge and this is over here. I'm not trying to make everything look super. You know, it is what it is. The filmer, just like the photographer, is a big part of what's going on.
I think just everyone will wear a black hoodie and call it a day, and if you get in the shot a little, who cares?
Well, here's what I don't like, and you know, hear me out on this. It's if I set up a couple flashes and dude's standing up in front of my flash.
No, that's fun.
One of them didn't get to the subject. One of the flashes. Lucky I had the second one.
Gosh.
But we're good.
That never ends, man. You want to talk about Al's Backsmith? That was a cover.
What was it?
Al's Backsmith.
Al Partinen.
Yeah, 2002.
I'd love to. I first met Al in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he's from, in 1989 on my first Transworld trip, solo, as a photographer and writer.
Cool.
He was 16, and he got drunk, and he passed out on a toilet.
Yeah.
And everybody put shaving cream on him. So that was the first time I saw him, and I don't think I saw him again for 5 or 6 years. But that was brief, and then he came back to live, and he was working for Millennium.
An old company.
Whatever. And at this time, so this is it 2001? 2002.
Yeah.
So it could have been late 2001, early 2002. I was getting a little tired of shooting street skating, not because of anything other than that's all that I was seeing. You know, that was all that was in the magazine. Like, I wanted to have something that was a little different.
Sure.
And because I came from a vert or a pool background, whatever it was, you know, I wanted to do something that was a little bit like outside the box in 2002.
Right.
And so pools were like, oh, pools, maybe we can figure out some people that can ride them. But those guys were riding them, you know, Darren and Rune and other people could ride pools. And so I just kind of wanted to get in on that mix again. And we had heard about this pool in Murrieta, Clinton Keith pool, that was just kind of like there. We could go and skate it. We didn't have to call anybody. We didn't have to get permission. We just could go. We weren't going to get busted. I didn't really have much expectations other than maybe a fronted air, maybe a gnarly grind. But he just, you know, I think he tail slid it first. And I was like, well, that's pretty sick.
Wow.
What else can you do? And he's like, oh, maybe a Backsmith. And I thought, well, you think I could get down here underneath you and you could just go over me?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, probably, yeah. And, you know, it was scary because it was really narrow down at the bottom of that pool. And I'd look straight up.
Do something like that one.
You know, and I'm not one of those guys that doesn't look through the lens. I like to, like, compose what I'm, even with a fisheye, like, I like to look through the lens and make sure everything's kind of, like, in that I want.
Yeah.
And he did it, like, 5 or 6 times. And, you know, the pentagram was on there. It was just kind of rad. And I didn't really shoot it thinking, oh, it's going to be a cover. But when I got it back, it was naturally a cover to me. And especially because it looked so much different than everything else that was out there at that time. So that is one of my favorites, actually.
Pretty sick. Pretty sick.
And Al at the time was totally unknown. Like, people that didn't give him any respect. You know, it wasn't like, oh, Al's sick, you know?
Yeah.
And he was damn sick, you know? He was ahead of the curve on the pool skating back then. You like Monty Grind, or do you like Backsmith? The vote is out.
Do you want to color that in for the kids a little?
Well, I mean, there seems to be a trend of trick names getting changed. And I knew Monty's pretty well, and I don't think he cared either way. If it was called, I mean, most people probably don't want a trick named after them. Like, how, you know, like somebody says, hey, can you do the Monty Grind, Monty? Like,
It's too much.
Yeah. And I think, like, when Mike Smith, when the Smith Grind got named after him, it was just somebody in the media just named the Smith Grind.
Right.
The skater didn't go, hey, that's a Smith Grind because I'm doing it. You know, it
Right. There was some humility there.
Right, and it was written down. It was in the pages of a magazine, and that's what it became. And so, I think when Monty was doing learning that or doing a backside version of the Smith Grind, he was just like, I'm doing a backside Smith Grind.
Right.
And so there it was.
I see it. Okay.
Don't change it or change it. You know, whatever.
360 flip or tray flip.
I stand with the 360 flip.
Me too. Forever. Okay, let's see here. Want to go into your the skateboard mag covers? If you're down. Or wait, no, dude, we got to do Heath's El Toro. It's one of the best photos ever taken. How did that manifest? Was that his idea? Or I think he went into that in the Epically later a little bit, but
here you go.
Everyone in skateboarding is a fan of Heath Kirchart. The stuff he did was unheard of.
El Toro, I think, was the very first rail, and maybe like the only time it's happened to me in skating that I was like really scared of it, to the point where like when I was rolling up to it, I was so nervous that like I couldn't feel really what was happening like in my legs and stuff, to where like I was like, I have no idea what's gonna happen when I try this, because this just doesn't, I can't really feel my legs because I'm like nervous and scared.
As I know it, originally,
yeah,
he went there with Atiba.
Right.
I mean, I remember the pictures. They were fisheye, and I think it was just a sequence.
Right.
And he slammed, I think, and it kind of took him out. So he must have been out for like several weeks, not skating, and so it was getting close to the end of filming for The End.
Right.
But it was the one thing that he really wanted to do. You know, I think he only had like 10 tricks in there. I mean, not even. And besides the stuff that him and Jeremy did together, he didn't have a ton of stuff. But he had.
Something funny Jeremy said about that part. He said, I just cared about the ramp footage.
Yeah.
Because I asked him some questions about his bonus clips. I'm well, dude, that clip was cool. Why don't you put that in? He goes, I just cared about the ramp stuff. Such a cool line. Anyway, go ahead, back, Wazzy.
So Atiba, you know, being the busybody that he was, like, he must have gone on a trip somewhere, and so it became my thing, which I was like, sick. All right. I mean, I had no idea what it actually looked like until I got there. And as you can see in the photo, Sue Trin is also in there shooting the sequence.
Yeah.
Baby Sue, we called him. I don't know if we
that
called
was
him
his nickname?
No, but he was a little guy. He was young. It was me, Sue, and Jamie Mossberg, and I think this guy Evan Feen filming it.
Yeah.
One roll, I think 3 tries, we rolled away, and it was like at 8 in the morning.
Wow.
And it was first thing on a Saturday. Like, we got there, nobody around.
Gosh, that's so crazy.
Rolled up to that thing, like, he fucking just handled it and rode away. Victory.
Did you guys talk about the shot composition at all?
No. I think I mean, by this time, I mean, people just trusted how it was going to be shot, you know. And again, was it shot for a cover before I went there? Fuck no. It was just like,
You went there and
got all of his stuff together when it came time to do the magazine, and yeah, that's obviously the best thing. And
right. Jeremy told me they named the video the end because of that lip slide, because it was like kind of like he just kind of thought it was the end of skateboarding.
I wish it was. No, I don't wish. I mean,
nah.
Whatever. People just gotta keep going.
We all have paradoxical love for skating at times. It's just kind of a love-hate thing. I feel it sometimes, dude. Okay, let's see here. Let's jump into the skateboard mag covers. We're on Heath. Want to go into the Santa Barbara hubba? Or is there anything else you want to cover on El Toro?
Well, the only other thing I had shot at El Toro was Mumford.
Yeah, right. You shot the Smith grind. You
Sequence.
did.
Well, that was actually Atiba's. I mean, it was me and Atiba. So Atiba shot long lens for the ad, and I think I think the sequence was in like Transworld Editorial.
Do you like shooting sequences more or stills?
I hate shooting sequences. You know, and back then, you know, 98, 99, 2000, whatever year it was, before the 2000s, before digital cameras.
Yeah.
It might have been kind of cool still to do a film sequence, you know? Like,
Right.
It was fine to do digital ones too, because it was a relief to not be fucking throwing away 10 rolls of film.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the same vibe to it. And the thing I hated about sequences later on was that it was, you have to hold your sequence till the video comes out. And it just took everything away from, like, why did you shoot a sequence? Well, I don't care. And
That's
I look back
kind of
now.
weird. When did the video start going first? Because when I was younger, it used to be like the photo first. That was the catalyst to the footage that you finally get to watch, and you had to wait for it. It was like Christmas.
When the media started fucking being wimpy.
Yeah. You know,
As far as like, you know, I mean, in the 90s, like if the magazine was doing it, it was, nobody could say, hey, can you hold that until then? I mean, the skater could. Like if Heath said, don't run this because I got to do this,
right.
I would listen to Heath.
Right.
But to actually have to plan it out like it was a marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to market this all together. We didn't do that in the 90s.
Right.
Things just naturally happened.
Right.
The magazines came out. The videos came out whenever they came out. People got hyped on all of that, and the brands and everybody was happy.
Right.
And then there became a point where it was like, we got to plan it all out. 40 pages of editorial.
That's it. Art's not a committee.
Right.
It's just not. Let's segue into the Santa Barbara curved hubba. Now, I've been there.
Have you?
It's insane. I went there for a film festival. Scary to walk down the steps. And let me tell you something about that spot. Heath's relatively tall.
Mm-hmm. He's 6'1", same height as me.
Yeah, you're a tall man, Bob, too. Like, that thing's pretty low, that doorway.
Mm-hmm.
That's low. People don't realize it.
Yeah, when you're coming at it, like, it's probably even lower. Like,
yeah.
Right before, right
but still, I think on a psychological level, him flying out of that doorway, did that mess with him at all? Did he ever complain about that?
I think it did at first. Like, it took him a little while just even just, like, kind of try one. You know, we had gone up there the week before. And this is what I'm not totally clear on this, because there's some other images where he's wearing a different shirt.
Yep.
And here comes, a couple people walking their dog, and that fucking sets him off a little bit. And then right when you start, you've gotten past the first couple of people. You throw one on the fucking ledge, and some dude in a rental car, rental cop, hey, you can't skateboard here. And you're like, the fuck? Why not? There's nobody around. Who cares?
There's actually a definition for people like that. They're called spoil sports. You can look it up. Back to Santa Barbara. How was the drive up there?
It was good. It was just me and him, early rise. Like, I had to drive up from Oceanside the night before, and we were on a pretty heavy deadline to get that first issue of the magazine out, and didn't get that weekend. I was like, fuck, we have to have this soon. So he's like, we'll do it next week. So same thing, went up, spent the night, went there, shot. It happened this time. This time everything was fucking gorgeous, He might tell you he didn't do it good enough, like the way he wanted to.
Can I just say something else about that obstacle? It's curved, and even if it wasn't curved, if it was just straight, that would have been epic.
Yeah.
50-50 on that thing straight would have been epic. Those stairs were probably, honestly, they were, am I pushing it by saying they were as big as that? As big as El Toro, too, in a way?
In a way, yeah. I mean, it was definitely
it's
as
the
daunting
second
as that, for
garage of
sure.
the parking lot. It's pretty tall, dude.
It's
He
coming
coulda
out like,
died.
there it is. Oh, shit. Like, you
He
can't-
could have died.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's funny because recently he had told me that he didn't like the way he did it. And, like, you kind of nailed it. Like, the thing is curved. The actual part you're grinding is kind of, it's not like an edge where you can just lock right in. Like, it's kind of funky. You know, as you come around the corner, your front wheels might not be in a 50-50 exactly. But he fucking did it. It was supposed to be the very first cover of the skateboard mag. So anyways, I had to tell him before I came up that next week, or I kind of asked him, I was like, are you going to be bummed if you're not on the first cover?
Yeah.
Because we got this thing. I actually showed him the Danny Way stuff, and he was like, ooh, that is pretty cool. You know, that's really good. You know, actually, I don't want the pressure of it having to be on this cover. Because if he didn't make it again that weekend, like, it wouldn't have been on there anyways. It would have had to wait until he made it.
Right, he is a reference for Danny Way, so
Right.
he's
And
probably kind of hyped that was somebody he liked.
I think they both rode for Alien at the time. It was that zone. It took the pressure off him a little bit to have to do it that day, but he did it. So
You know what's interesting is Alex Chalmers, totally different side of the spectrum of like Rawley and Heath and all those guys, but like, man, he did some crazy shit.
Chalmers from Canada.
Yes, sir.
He was sick.
You want to go into your cover about him? Because I love his part in Sorry where he skates the faction.
Do I want to go? It's a controversial one.
Yes.
Okay, so here, let's just get it out there. He didn't land that very clean.
Okay.
And that we originally he tried that on a trip, maybe like a month before, with a bunch of people and with just us skating these parks in Oregon. He tried it. Nah, didn't happen. But he's like, I want to really come back. I heard his, got a hot pocket or wherever, his heel fucked it up. So I made a special trip a month later to meet him and Keegan Sauter in Portland, and we drove down the coast. I mean, I was in Oregon 2 days. Met him at the airport. They picked me up in Portland.
Right.
Drove down the coast to Reedsport, which is where that park is.
Yeah.
I think we stayed in a hotel. Got up that morning.
Yeah.
Fucked around, and then he started trying it.
Well, I was building rapport with him.
Alex?
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, he's totally chill. I mean, he's Canadian, right? So you know how Canadians are.
Yeah.
Nicest people in the world.
They are.
Unless they're drunk.
One time I was hanging out with the guy. He goes, I go, oh, you're from Canada. How's it going over there? He goes, we're still on top. Yeah. That was pretty clever.
We're still America's hat.
We can clone humans here. No, that's a different subject. Okay, so did we cover this?
Canada. I love Canada.
We love Canada, dude. We got Moses
keep us
Inc. with
warm.
him. We got Ryan Smith did some cool stuff out of there. A lot of good Canadians. So
going back to that, we just skated, and then he started trying it, and he tried it a bunch. The ones he landed on, he kind of slid out at the bottom, but
the slide out.
It was kind of one of those things that had never been done. Like people, I mean that, like all in over that hole was like cool. And I looked at it from a perspective of how's this going to look on a cover.
Right.
And again, I come from a time when probably, like in the 70s and early 80s, probably 30% of those covers weren't tricks that were made that day, or you know what I mean? Like they were almost made. Like
sure. Cover was a big deal to the kids out there real quick. It was like the Instagram Explore page, or it was like the equivalent of something going viral.
Right.
Even though it sounds gross to me. But yeah, it was like that in a way. And Dave did a lot of covers. And so if he was shooting a skater and they maybe didn't land the trick, it wasn't the end of the world because it was like so already groundbreaking that they were landing on the trick or sliding out and like kind of riding away or whatever.
Right. It was stuff that I mean, the way he did it, I hadn't seen before. It was like monumental to me. I thought that was pretty sick still.
And
I have his pro model.
You do? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I don't remember ever getting it, but I found it in a box, and I was like, wow, I got a flip Alex Chalmers board.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's really cool, actually. Holy crap. Okay.
Fun facts.
All right, where are we here? We got, you want to go into Jason Jessee?
Jason, I hadn't seen Jason in years for whatever reason. Like, he was kind of out of skateboarding, and then somehow got got into it again. Again, Jason was one of those people, like, when you watched him skate, like, maybe it was only 15 minutes, whatever he would do was like, fuck, I want to do that. Like, it was all solid, perfect, you know, the best way you could do it. Just stood out. And so, when he was actually a pro skater for Santa Cruz in 89, 90, I didn't really get the opportunity to shoot skateboard photos of him.
I see.
Because he was one of the big time pros.
Because it's kind of, yeah, I see what you're saying.
And I was only able to shoot the kind of the AM guys.
Oh, okay. So he's more veteran status, skating with them.
Yeah, even though he was younger than me, like it just was not in my, like, I would have been afraid to fuck up a photo of Jason Jessee in 1989. Like, whatever, I would shoot the people I knew that, you know, like Mike Usifer, who would just say like, dude, we're gonna do it again. And all right, yeah. So I didn't get to shoot him. So I was kind of excited that this was my opportunity to shoot him. And I think it came down to shoot something for Converse or do whatever. It was originally just like Converse needed some stuff. Where do we go? We ended up at Kelly Belmar's pool. And it was almost like he could barely skate it. You know, he rode around, was like, oh, this thing's scary, blah, blah.
Right.
And then he started trying those eggplants. All right, he did an invert to fakie, like, first or second try.
Yeah.
Which was cool, but I've never been able to shoot a good invert to fakie. It's a hard one to shoot. And then he started doing the eggplants, and I think he did 2 of them. And that was it.
Wow.
And I think just the way it was framed, we all agreed that it was a cover, based on that it was Jason Jessee. Like, wow, Jason Jessee, nobody's seen him for years. This is a legitimate, like, awesome photo. Skateboarding, good skateboard trick. Not what was on the covers of all the other magazines. It was unique.
Right.
Beanie. Right. You know, the whole kit. Yeah. And you know, it worked. I don't know to what extent the world cared, but I mean, to me, it's one of my favorites just because I had this opportunity to shoot this guy who I skated with when he was a kid. I kind of looked up to him as a pro, like what he did in skateboarding in 1989 and 90, right. 88 maybe. Just the skateboarding part, like that's what. Let's get that clear. Like, I'm just into the skateboarding from all these people. Like, yeah. I'm not like everybody's best friend. Yeah. But like, I'm a nerd. I don't want to go hang out with him. Like, it's not like what I want to do.
No,
but
there's
like,
a healthy excitement.
Yeah. And so, you know,
mind skateboarding.
Shooting photos of him was really cool for me. I enjoyed it, and I'm happy that I mean, that was the first cover he ever had in skateboarding. Right. Which blew me away too. You know. That I didn't know that. That's crazy. He never had a cover at the Thrasher, Transworld, anything before that. And he got both after that. Like he, you know, maybe a year or 2 later, he had a cover of Transworld, then he had a cover of Thrasher. Wow. So I had his first cover. Which, you know, again, it also goes full circle to because when I first started working at Transworld in '89, I wasn't hired as a photographer. I was hired as a writer. Right. That is so cool. And can I just give you your moment on that? How did you get it as a writer? Because I had friends that knew people there, and I was going to college, and skating and working, and some of my stuff I would just write stuff, and I would try to like submit these things through my friends, right? For or whatever. I actually wrote an article for around the same time I got hired by Transworld. So there was like this time where I finished this thing. I wrote this thing on paper, right? You know, handwriting, and it was about skateboarding in San Diego. So like, that's so cool. 1989, 88, magazines would do articles on towns, Los Angeles, whatever. So we did that. I got to write this thing for San Diego. Mm-hmm. And they had it up there, and I kept asking, like, "Are you guys running that? Yeah, it's coming up. It'll be coming up." Then I got the job at Transworld, So on January 2nd, 1989, I started working at Transworld as an assistant editor. And based on the stuff, I interviewed really well with the editor. He liked me. He thought like, well, we'll have this guy come in here and he'll really liven things up, you know. And I didn't even know how to use a computer at the time, but I had somebody do a resume for me, so I look good on paper.
Yeah.
But I hadn't really done anything. So once I got there, I immersed myself into the whole, like, stuck in a room, and I was given these tapes of an Eric Dressen interview.
Yeah.
Like 3 90-minute tapes of Eric Dressen talking to Gary Davis, and for a week. And I think everybody else was gone from the office for a contest in Hawaii, and I just sat in that room, like, rewinding the tape so I could just type it. And, like, my typing by the end was like really good. And so I was transcribing this interview. And where was I going with that? Oh, the Jessee thing was, he was the second person I actually interviewed. So the first person I interviewed was Steve Alba. Oh, like, so the next issue or something. And then Jason was the one after that. But I just did the words. They're actually on the Steve Alba one's on my website.
Yeah.
And funny thing is, with my website, I like to just make it my magazine, because I don't work for a magazine.
SwiftPhotography.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I put stuff in there,
handle one more time?
Huh?
Instagram handles at Swift Photography.
Dave Swift 01.
Dave Swift 01 for Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on my website, I just want to make it like a magazine, so I just put stuff together and write long captions for the photos, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And so I retyped Steve Alba's interview that I did, and then put photos of him that I shot from over the years of working at Transworld.
Okay.
So it's like an interview of an old interview from 1989 with photos from 1989 to 2012 or whatever.
So you've been creative from day one.
I try.
Dude, I love it.
Now going back, I hope this isn't going to be too out of context. So here's 6 months down the road, me working at Transworld.
Yeah.
We get a magazine with a San Diego article in it. And it's my words. Like, I wrote it. It has somebody else's name on it.
Yeah, well, I got to hear his excuse. Let's hear his excuse.
It was just like, oh, because you work there, we just didn't want to put your name on it, blah, blah, blah.
Right, yeah, totally. Yeah.
So it would have been nice to have been told that before. I get it. You know, I'm not...
But, dude, if it's your work, just your name's on it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't get that right. So, maybe I'll give that guy a black eye for you, Dave. All right. Was there, like, anything that you filmed that maybe sticks out in your mind more than maybe, like, a photo that you're kind of proud of? And you're just, like, think, like... I mean, what do you like? I know you're a photographer, but do you like filming? Do you sometimes wish you were filming and not taking photos?
No, I don't wish I was filming instead of taking photos. I honestly don't. Maybe it's because I'm lazy. Yeah. But filming's hard. Like, it's you know, to sit there.
The photographer can bail if they want to.
Right, I got to shout him out. Which I don't do, people.
No, Dave does not do that.
Unless I got a baby crying.
Yep, Dave's a real skater and a family man, dude. He's a good guy.
I don't have babies anymore. They're all practically old. But I like to hang out and make sure that I'm there as long as the skater's there. Right. That's important, I think. And if the person's trying it the whole time, it's actually good to, like, switch up angles, get different views of what is going on the skateboard. You know, it's tough when somebody makes something first or second try. Like, you gotta as a photographer, I would have had to have nailed it. Like,
Ben Karpinski told me Leo lands his stuff fast on purpose, just to kind of
fuck with the photographer.
Isn't that funny?
Maybe.
I don't know his motivation behind
program.
But if it gets the photographer or filmer on point, that's cool.
I'm trying to think if there's... Well, so your question about filming, like... I like filming, I enjoy it, but I wouldn't want to have to be... That is my job, because... I don't think of things in that way. You know, like when I grew up for skating, like we didn't have videos. Like, we didn't look at videos. It was all magazines, still photos, sequences.
Right.
And it put my brain into that realm, like where it's just like, oh, this is supposed to look like this. When I think of it to film it, like, it's a little harder. I mean, I'm good with a fisheye. I can, you know, compose something, but
I like that. I did like. It's important. You look through the fisheye. Like, you just don't let the fisheye film it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to still work. You got to get the shot still. Like,
But what you guys do, like that's a whole, like you got to think of the whole process.
Sure.
Like what it's going to be like when it's all said and done, rather than just like got the trick,
Right.
And that being said, like both ways of filming is good to me. Like I like the simplicity of just the trick stuff, in videos, like just to see the skateboarding, like fuck yeah, that was fucking brutal.
Get hyped on it, yeah.
And I'd like the story stuff too, where you're telling a story through their skating.
Sure.
So both ways.
Yeah, it's cool. Skaters, some of them are a little more aware of what they're doing on the board, and other ones are a little bit like, I gotta do this because I'm obsessed. And then they're subconsciously like really revealing to us how unique they are.
Again, like it's just like the magazine. Like I would always think of what a whole magazine was like, as opposed to what I was doing in the magazine was going to be like. It was more like, what's this whole package going to be?
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty lost now. Like I don't think anybody really thinks about that anymore. It's more like just like, oh, we got the November issue done. All right, sweet. What's in it?
Yeah.
The same as the fucking other issue,
or Dave,
different.
Who cares?
Yeah. I don't like saying that. Like I mean, it's still my dream to somehow.
No, there's the skater-owned brands are killing it right now. I love them, but dude, there's a lot of corporate brands where you just like, dude, you're not a skate brand.
Right.
Can you go over there now?
Well, don't you think? Like, I mean, I'm not bagging on any magazines, but like, if you were doing a magazine now, wouldn't you want to do it to like, you didn't have any involvement with the advertiser,
right?
Which is the way it used to be.
Right. Yeah.
The advertiser was just like, when's my ad due?
Yeah.
They put their ad in. They didn't ask, do I got a rider in there? I mean, occasionally one or two would ask that.
Oh yeah, that's insane.
But for the most part, the answer to that would be like, wait and see if you have a rider in there. Like that's the editorial department's job to make sure that the best people are getting in the magazine.
Right.
But the advertiser actually didn't have any part in what was going in the magazines up until like the late 90s. And then it was like always like, well, how many pages we got?
Right.
And then that would be based on like, okay, then we'll spend $12,000.
Right.
Which to me ruined skateboard magazines, because it kind of ruined the feel, the vibe, what the editors were actually trying to put together, which was a thing that was a statement of that month or whatever, whenever they're working on it.
Yeah,
like,
I know how
this is what we want to do.
Trans rules were, dude. There was always a little concept behind them. They're fun, dude. They'd ask good questions in them.
That definitely got lost.
Yeah.
When those magazines got super thick. I wish that there was that was around again, where there was no involvement from advertisers. The editors did their magazine. The photographers made their, they shot their way. Each photographer had their stuff look different.
Right.
They didn't shoot like, oh, what's Atiba shooting like? I gotta shoot just like that.
Right.
No, you don't.
I saw Atiba working Grubhub the other day.
You said what?
I saw doing a delivery job on one of those cell phone apps, and he was filming Deshaun, tried to do a switch ollie over a table. And I think there's footage of it now, or there's a photo, but I saw him try it, and it was like so crazy looking. Like he was rolling up switch. It was so intense looking. Like I swear time stopped when he was rolling into it, and he's just like switch ollie, and he just glides over the whole table long ways, and then he just kicks it away at the last second. And I'm like, oh, he's doing that. I gotta go deliver this pizza. Anyway, did you ever see anything fun like that when you were just like going to mail something? Like,
just because I'm always looking like, ooh, what's going on?
Yeah.
But I feel like I would have. There's been probably several.
Have you been skating at all?
I skate all the time.
Good. Was it hurt?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's just like my body doesn't work the way it used to. It doesn't turn the same way. It doesn't bend over the same way. I probably skate 5 days a week.
That's so cool, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, serious.
That's so awesome, dude.
Because I can't sit around and...
Well, you're a happy guy, dude. It shows. Yeah. It shows you're out skating. It's super important to be out skating. If you're injured, just make it work, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And if I'm not, like... As a photographer, I've also never been a hoarder.
Yeah.
When it comes to, like, I gotta shoot everything.
Right.
Like, fuck that. Like,
No.
I'll go and shoot that.
He does that, yeah.
And if he's got another... you know what? You can shoot that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I am now.
How long does it take you to find the right angle?
I think when things were kind of small, I don't want to say small, like when rails were like 10 stairs at the most, you could get away with the fisheye.
Mm-hmm.
So that became the, like, okay, I'll shoot it with a fisheye first. If I feel like I've gotten it a couple times on this roll, I'll switch to a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, so long lens was generally the backup.
Right.
It was like the second angle.
That's right. Yeah.
Or you shot a sequence from the, the different angle.
It was like a bonus angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that, when things are big, like El Toro, like that was pretty much immediate. Like I didn't really want to shoot that fish. I saw Atiba's photos fish,
Mm-hmm.
and it made it look flatter,
Mm-hmm.
like it wasn't as steep. You didn't get the impact of the stairs, I don't think, from the fisheye as much. And
did you know you were documenting something kind of historical?
oh yeah,
You knew.
I mean, I just by the look on his face. Again, being around Heath so much, like
Yeah.
all the other times it was like, if it was like let's say the kickflip back lip at Bricks.
Oh yeah.
He was more under the pressure of having to land it because it was his first ad for hookups. Like he had to get that for Jeremy, for blah, so because he was getting this ad, it was so important, right?
Hookups footwear.
Yeah, but he didn't look scared. He just looked like, fuck, I gotta, like, how am I gonna land this? This one he looked scared, like where he was just like, dude, it's do or die. Like,
A few more questions. One photo the rest of your life. You're stuck on an island.
it's just gonna take a minute. I mean, it probably would be that lip slide, El Toro, just because
good.
it's like
It's good.
probably the most monumental thing that I shot. I could say this. The loop of Kevin Kowalski was pretty monumental, but I don't think as many people cared. It didn't resonate.
Well, maybe go into the loop a little bit then, because that must have been terrifying to shoot something like that.
Well, the first loop, I was a kid, and there was the loop and skateboarder that Dwayne Peters tried to do for this skateboard madness thing.
Right.
And all I remember was a sequence of him like bailing from like the very top straight down to the bottom,
Right.
which looked gnarly enough. Like, ooh, but we were fucking fanned out. I'm like, oh my god, this guy tried it. That was
Right.
fucking sick. Fast forward, it took another 20, 15, 16 years
Yeah.
before Tony had the idea and the actual funding to get a loop built through Airwalk
Right.
to do that ad. I remember hearing about it, like him shooting it, or somebody said, "Oh, there's the loop set up down at the Encinitas YMCA. Like Tony's gonna do it," and I was like, "What?" And so me and Grant went down there and just kind of checked it out, and started shooting it, and like we kind of got kicked out. Like it was like, "Don't be here,"
Right.
that vibe. So we just left. And he didn't make it clean that time. I think he kind of like went around and fell. And then there was the Tampa. Then there was the Tampa escapade where everybody was fucking doing it and bobbed it, switch, and so. Well, and the bull ring. I think the bull ring was the first time he actually made it, rode away.
Like nicely clear
Yeah.
or whatever.
So that was pretty monumental. In the fucking bull ring. Are you kidding me? Like,
It's fun.
how perfect is that? Like, fucking El Toro, not El Toro, but it was made for looping. So if you could figure it out, tons of people have done it now. Lizzie did it. I saw that. That was really sick. A natural. It wasn't made for skateboarding. He had to figure it out. It was perfect. And he did it so good. I just watched it recently, and
It's incredible.
Finally rolled away from one of them, and Dave got a sequence, and Peacock got the angle from inside the pipe, and everybody was there. All my friends were there. Everyone was super stoked. I was super stoked, and it turned out to be a really good day.
Who takes the worst slams?
Well, he took the worst slams.
Wow, dude. What was the worst slam that you saw him do?
I don't think it's always just one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the footage of that one hubba that he did it on, but I wasn't there for that.
Oh, yeah, that was a good
But
one.
I've seen him slam himself into the ground so many times that most people would have walked, just been like, I quit skateboarding, and he would be like, I got to come back next week,
Wow.
So he definitely.
You want to go into that anecdote?
He was like a fucking punching bag,
Did you want to go into the Oceanside High American flag photo anecdote about how he needed to go back for the trucks?
Well, yeah. I was just thinking about that the other day. He was a little frustrated on how he did that backside tail slide, and he broke his board like he normally does at the end of a session that he wasn't pleased with, and just tossed it up on the roof above the cafeteria. So it was like a long flat roof where everybody sat out to sit, and so whatever, he just left it and we all left. About a week later, he called and goes, "Hey, do you think that my board would still be on that roof over there?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's a week later. Why would it be there still?" And he's like, "Well, I need the truck." So he drove down from L.A. and got it and came to Trams like, "Yep, it was there." So he just and I think it was a school day. So I think he just walked in like he was going to school there and went up on the roof and grabbed his board and jammed. Came to Trams and goes, "I got it." And somehow I ended up with the board and he ended up with the trucks. So they were Mercuries.
Okay, man, that's incredible. One last question. We're talking about El Toro a lot. You got Clive Dixon doing a nollie nose blunt and a nose blunt on it.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever think maybe something like that would happen in skating? I mean, that's a big gap from when you shot the lip slide. That's a very different trick. It's crazy,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, the way things have been going for the last 15 years, of course people are doing it, I mean, you have Jamie Foys and all those people that
Yeah, man.
They can just ride a skateboard and they're not afraid of anything, and they just fucking can do it. I think a lot of it is all again. I've never done a handrail, so I don't know. But I skate, and I know that confidence. If you're confident, that pretty much will get you through it.
I think it's been great hanging out with you, Dave.
Yeah, you too, Joey.
I think let's end on a high note. But first, I'm gonna give Dave an Uncle Buck hug.
John Candy. Yeah, I miss John Candy. He's good.
Just come to me and I